We're going to attempt to give those who haven't played with SolidWorks much just a brief introduction about how to make a part. This part 8-42 is out of another textbook. It is metric, and so I've already gone in and said new and chosen the metric NMU start part. I'm going to go ahead and let's look at the few ways we could start this part. We could draw the whole back profile and extrude that, the 11 that you see here. We could draw on the right side plane and draw this profile and extrude that 11. We could draw from the top and draw an L shape. The thing I guess I'm trying to get across to you is there's any number of ways that you could start this. So I'm gonna show you one or maybe two, but it's by no means the only method. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this back shape, and I'm gonna make this my origin since I believe it to be a critical point. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose front plane and go to sketch. And what I'm gonna draw is the circle. That has a diameter of 16. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw this shape. Hitting this is vertical, this going back. One thing that one missed is you'll notice there's no horizontal relationship on it. This one has vertical, so I'm going to tell it to be horizontal. I'd like to get this out of my way, and so I'm going to put a line in from here and then drag it over to there. So if I'm careful when I'm drawing, I'm getting those horizontal and verticals the way I want. And now it's a matter of looking at the print and saying, oh, I need to put these dimensions in there. So I'm going to dimension the bottom line and say it should be 115. I'm going to get an overall height of 60. And I'm doing that just by picking on the line itself. Because these are horizontal and vertical, they will automatically hold those. I'm not picking points. I'm just clicking on the line. This line should be 32. And we don't know the height of this end, but we do know that the angle is 15 degrees, and so I'm going to put that in there. Now, it is not black because I have not defined its location around that circle. That's the 20 and the 20 that we see there, and so I'm going to dimension from the line to the circle. Circle to the line. There we go. And then we're also going to do that vertically from the bottom line to the circle and type in 20. And so now you can see that we've got this fully defined and we can extrude it. We don't have any section or center lines or construction lines. We simply have the dimensions and relations we need. So we'll say features, extrude boss base. Now, if you ever do this and you don't get a yellow preview, that means you have an issue. You can clearly see this one is going to extrude just fine. I could type in 11, but I'd like to cancel out of this, and I'm going to create some issues for us. So I'll give an example. I'm going to go normal 2, and I'm going to add another line. Now I know we don't need it, but let's say you happen to have another one. First of all, you need to notice that it's skinnier than the rest of the lines that are here. And then when I go to features and I hit extrude, SolidWorks gives us nothing until we slide in here. And we can choose one of these closed contours. This is poor practice. You know, can I make it work? Sure. But it's not what we want to teach you. And so I would rather teach you that SolidWorks wants one closed, non-intersecting contour. So we have one closed contour here, and we had one closed contour around the outside. And now we have another closed intersecting contour. So I always tell students to picture SOLIDWORKS as a pair of scissors cutting around the outside. And when it gets to right here, it doesn't know if it should go down this way or down this way. And so it's very confused. So we're going to select that line and delete it. And now if I were to go back to features and hit extrude, we come back to that yellow preview. Let's show you another way you can mess it up. So let's say you were starting to draw this, and you had this line out here, and you said, oh, I can trim that line. Okay? It looks just like it always looked, except now there are two lines here. See the two horizontals? One is the short one I originally drew, and the other one is the long line that I trimmed off. And when I go to features, again, SOLIDWORKS gives me nothing. So I'm left trying to figure out where I have the issue. So what I do is I select a line and I delete it. And if there's not a line underneath it, I hit undo. I could select this line and delete it. If there's not a line underneath it, I hit undo. If I were to do that here and hit delete, there's the second line. And so immediately it tells me, oh, I had a stacked set of lines there. And all it really did was eliminate my 15 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back in. And I should be back to one line on top, one line here, and one line everywhere else. And if I go to features and hit extrude, I'm back to a solid. So hopefully those little lessons help you troubleshoot things. I'm going to go ahead and extrude this to 11 and hit my check mark. So we've got the back put in here. We're going to go ahead and draw this shape. I'm going to draw it on the front face of this. So I could choose this shape and start a sketch. And I could draw this as a rectangle. Notice when I did the rectangle, I made sure I was attached to this line. That's the coincidence symbol. And as I pull it down, I make sure I get the coincidence symbol on the bottom. And so now, when I go to Smart Dimension, I have two lines that are already black because they are constrained by the current solid. I'm going to go ahead and make this 11 because that's how wide this is, and it is 50 tall. Now, when I go to extrude this, I'm going to extrude it in this direction. I need to know the distance from back here to out here. And I don't have that distance. I have 45. So you could mentally do 45 minus 11. Or you could move this sketch to the back. That would work. You could even do something like, rather than extrude from the sketch plane, I'm going to extrude from this surface. So now I've chosen, instead of sketch plane, I chose from this face. Actually, that's not true. It would be from clear selections, this face. I want to extrude 45. So rather than work off of our sketch, we told SOLIDWORKS, start back here, because that's what this print shows. And now we've extruded 45, we want to merge them, hit our check mark, and there's that shape. Now we do have to cut this corner off of it. So I can say I want to sketch on that face. And I'm going to go ahead and draw this triangle. And I'm going to include some dimensions. So from the point to the bottom is this 22, and I'm going to leave it driving. So maybe wondering where that came from, why it's disagreeing with me, but I mistakenly set this down on the midpoint. That's what that symbol means. So I have to delete that. It's not really supposed to be the midpoint. It's supposed to be at 22. And then I don't know this distance, but I do know that it's at 30 degrees, and so I say I need a smart dimension from here to here. And I set this at 30. Most common mistake is that people just want to draw this line when we have to remember we need a continuous closed contour. So we have to draw the whole shape that we want to get rid of. I can spin this around so you can see the shape that we drew. And then I go to features and I say extruded cut through all. And I hit my check mark. Okay. Now, there are other ways to do that. You don't have to start with this rectangle on this face. If I were to take my scroll bar and scroll it back in time, I could very well have chosen this face to start my sketch on. And I could sketch this. Okay. I could be saying I want the back of this to be 45 from the back. I could say I want this and this to be 30 degrees from each other, and I want the overall height to be 50. Okay. But you notice I haven't closed off the contour. It's because I want to show you something else. I can take any part of this solid and project it onto this sketch and make it part of our sketch. That's what Convert Entities does. So I can take this edge, right, which is part of our solid. It's not really a sketch geometry, it's just an edge, and I'm going to choose it, and I'm going to say Convert Entities, and it just became sketch geometry. You see it? I'm also going to take this bottom one, and I'm going to convert that. Now sometimes the lines we convert are too short. Like this one needs to come out so I can grab it and drag it out. Or they're too long, like this one is the whole edge and I need to trim it. The important part about this is this will always stay attached to this part because I have used the edges of the solid to create the sketch. The last dimension we're missing is this one. I can type in 22 because that's what our print shows. And now I can extrude the other direction, 11. So it's just another way to make the same shape. Before we used the rectangle and then we cut the triangle out of it, and this time we just drew the solid on a different surface. Now when I scroll this forward, it's going to throw an error at me because these things were already in there. I'm going to go ahead and delete them since I've already shown you another way to do it. And I'll just leave this one in. It's the one that has this sketch and the converted entities. Notice the sketch is underneath the Boss Extrude. The last piece we have to draw in is this little triangle right here. In order to do that, I'm going to scroll the part around. So I'm looking at the bottom. I'm going to choose to start right here. Choose sketch. And I'm going to choose this edge and convert it. I'm going to choose this edge and convert it. And then I'm going to just draw this third line and trim up the long. So you can kind of see I've got that sketch in place. I just need to finish putting my dimensions on it, which for this particular one is from here. I want to take that back. It's all the way from the back. Look at that. 64 is from the back edge to this point. I can pull that out and say 64, and now I have that solid part. So I can say extrude boss base, it's going the wrong direction, so I can come over here and flip the direction. It already is ready to extrude 11. Hit my check mark, and I'm all set. So it kind of gives you a brief example about how you can do this part. If you'd like to try it on your own and try it several different ways, you can do that. If you don't have this part, if you were to come down to your start button and look for the snipping tool, you could actually type in snip or snipping in your search bar. It'll bring up the snipping tool, and you can actually screen capture this right here, this drawing, and then you could paste it into your own SOLIDWORKS model. Hopefully that's been some kind of help to you as we move forward to make parts. Best of luck. We'll see you for discussions.